Hi everyone, Armoured Pants here, and I have another video for you. This is the new Russian Premium, the Tier 8 SU-130 PM. As always, we will have a complete guide for you looking at the tech spec using blitzhanger.com. Before that, let's have a look at the price of this tank. So it's approximately €25, fully equipped and with the Scarface legendary camo, so not a bad deal for a Tier 8 Premium tank. Don't know what the credit coefficient is, but I ran a regression analysis on it using the number of credits that I earned over a few games, and it appears it's around 170 to 175%, so pretty good credit earner. Now, in case you're wondering what this bottle of tequila is doing here, well, I have come up with a nickname for this tank. It is a Tequila Tank. Tequila Tank, you say? Why a Tequila Tank? Well, 3 shots and you're fucking dead. That's it, just 3 shots and you're going home, you're finished. Because this tank has 0 armor, it's extremely unforgiving. It is a tequila tank. 3 shots, if you're really unlucky, 2 shots, and you're done. It's game over, and as we all know, there is no drunk like being tequila drunk. It takes your drunkenness to a different level, and your frustration and your death in this tank can go to a different level too. You'll end up like this guy fucking collapsed over the back of a chair with your spleen coming out your asshole. And having stuff blown out your back of your asshole is very possible with this tank, but it can be played very well. To max out the efficiency, I would use condensed milk, improved fuel, and extra rations. That max out the performance of this tank. It has a 130mm gun, which has good gun handling. We're going to look at the G index in a second, and you'll see that it has a very, very good gun handling actually for a Russian TD. You get 245mm of pen with AP going up to 257 if you use calibrated shells, 318mm with heat, which is your Pramo, going up to 350 if you use calibrated shells. HE will give you 65 going up to 72 with calibrated shells. Muzzle velocity is 1339 meters per second with AP and heat. HE is less at only 1209 meters per second. Reload is 10.36 seconds or going up to 11.14 with calibrated shells, so almost a second difference. But calibrated shells work, but I myself use gun rammer. I also run Supercharge and refined gun. But I know some of you prefer to run calibrated shells, especially on TDs, and both work with this tank. Now, coming to the gun handling, the G index is 15,000, which is very, very good for a Russian TD. Put that in context, it's better than the Panther 2, so better gun handling than a Tier 8 peer on the German TD line. So we know that this tank has good gun handling. Gun depression is 7 degrees and you get 16 in elevation, so it has decent enough gun alignment. Gun alignment is basically the ease with which you can align the enemy tanks. So it has decent enough. It's not great, but it's not bad at all. But the major drawback of this tank, the major issue, is its turning arc. It only has a 140 degree turning arc, that is plus minus 70 degrees. It doesn't have a full turret. So okay, it has much better turning arc than a turretless TD, but this half turret means that you can't do a 360 turning, which gives you of course limitations. You need to be aware of that. You can't fire behind you, for example, so therefore you need to be aware of that limitation. Now on the plus side, it does 50 kilometers per hour, which is great, and it does 20 in reverse, so this tank can move. It's high top speed, it's fast in reverse, so these are very good characteristics. And it has a brilliant power to weight ratio. It also has great traverse, but again, take note, this changes. The power to weight ratio and the traverse change when you're on soft terrain. This can get you killed because the tank's characteristics and handling change completely when you're on soft terrain. Now it has super concealment numbers, right? Super concealment numbers. Best view range is 304 in the RU-251. That needs to get within 208 meters of you to spot you up. So this tank is really well concealed. However, another drawback and thing you need to note, when you fire when still, you blow almost 70 meters of cover. You can be spotted then within 274 meters by the RU-251. That's a huge difference. And why is this particularly important? Well, because when we look at the armor profile here, this tank has no armor. It has absolutely no armor. For some reason it has a back seat. I guess if you want to take the kids tank hunting, and this is the perfect vehicle for it. But it has no armor, none whatsoever. So its armor is its concealment. Therefore, you need to be aware that that armor, this effective armor, disappears when you fire. You need to be really aware of that, and you're going to see in the game how you need to compensate for this with this tank, because this is a Tequila Tank. There are no second chances. If something like a waffle tractor gets aside of you and puts a HE round into you, forget about 3 shots, 2 shots, 1 shot and you're going home, my friend. You know, so you need to be really aware of this, and you need to be aware that concealment is your armor, but that changes a lot when you fire a shot, and you're going to see that in action in the game. This tank is a great sniper. It has great gun handling. It has a really good G index. It has good pen, even if you use gun rammer, so you can do a lot of damage in this tank. It has nice damage points per with each shot. You know, you're going to be doing big rolls, 450, 500 with this tank, even on AP rounds without even firing HE. But you need to be aware of its limitations. Now, what we're going to see here is this game. I wanted to show it to you. There's nothing particularly special about this game other than one thing. And that one thing is that I play this game to this tank's weaknesses, not to its strengths, to its weaknesses. So, and I managed to stay alive, do some damage, and win the game with my team. I don't have a particularly good game, but I want to show you this because this is important in terms of how to play this tank, and it's about the continuous movement. So, I don't know where the enemy's going to be, right? So I'm thinking if they go towards A, I'm going to be able to put a lot of shots into them. I'm aware of the fact that I need to stay out of the range of being spotted. So if they go towards A, I have a perfect position here to fire into them. When I see they're not going towards A, I need to move. I can't stay where I am, because it doesn't matter what comes at me, 3 shots and I'm dead. The Tequila Tank. So I'm out of here. But I use the strength of the tank, and what's its strength? Well, it has this great speed and great power to weight ratio. I'm not on soft terrain, so I'm now going to shift. I get out of there, reset my camo. Now I'm still alive, still have full hit points, and you're going to see me continuously move in this game, moving, firing, then resetting my camo, not staying in one position. You can't be lazy in this tank. If you're lazy in this tank, you're going to die. And you need to remain unspotted, because there are no second chances. You can see here that G index in play, that 15k G index, beautiful shot into the P44, not a problem. But I'm being really cautious, continuously watching the minimap, continuously watching where the reds are, because in this tank, getting shots is important, but not getting shot is even more important, because it's a completely unforgiving tank. Those of you who like playing the Rim Borsig, the Waffle Tractor, the Scorpion will like this tank. For sure you will like this tank. It's very similar. But of course when premium tanks come out, not everybody has played those tech lines. And this video is probably more for you guys if you are thinking about getting this tank. You like TDs but haven't played that German TD line and maybe don't have the Scorpion. There's a discipline to playing this tank. You need to continuously move and can remain unspotted. Pick your shots, as I'm doing here, but to pick them from unspotted areas. I am not giving the enemy any chance to put shots up on me. So apart from the one time earlier on when I was spotted, when I was moving out of a vulnerable position using the speed of the tank, I have remained unspotted. And that's the key to playing this tank. Now look guys, you know, I'm not going to do a huge amount of damage in this game. I haven't really made a huge contribution, but what I have done is I've conserved my hit points, I've kept myself in the game, and I have been able to make some shots using the great gun handling that this tank has, like that one there, the previous shot you saw across the valley. But my key thing here, as I said, it's not shooting, it's just not being shot. And that's the key to playing this tank well. So you're going to have to adapt your gameplay. You know, you're going to have to adopt different tactics. You can see there, what did I do in that game? Just under 2k damage, so nothing spectacular, right? But I wanted to show you that game because that is a quintessential example of what you need to do when playing this tank. Continuously move, continuously be aware of your concealment numbers, continuously be aware of whether or not you're spotted, because as a Tequila Tank, 3 shots and you're dead. There are no second chances, there's no makeovers, and you can find this very frustrating. You can see here though just how good the gun is, the Master Gunner badge there, you know, and Sharpshooter, and that's what you want when you are, we've always said this before, Master Gunner, Sharpshooter, Sniper Tanker badges, that's what you want when you're playing a tank destroyer. Mastery badges are great, of course, but these are the badges you consistently want to get with a TD. It shows if you're playing the TD well, and this TD can perform well. Now we're going to have a look at a second game here, which is Port Bay, and again we're going to look at the discipline and the lessons that are required to play this tank well, encompassing all of the things we discussed before and all of the things we discussed during the tech spec. Now most games on Port Bay normally end up going towards C, but here you're going to observe that actually we as a team move towards A. In a way that might even suit this tank better, because you really need to play this tank with the most amount of distance possible between you and the enemy, and that is a little bit easier on this map if you go towards A. By the way, in this tank you have to follow your team, you have to follow your team's lead. You can't really go anywhere on your own. As you saw in the previous game, as soon as I saw that the Reds were not moving up on A but going towards C, I had to get my ass out of there. I had to get, as the shepherd said to the sheep, let's get the flock out of here. I had to just shift ass. But the good thing about this tank is that you can haul ass in it. It is an ass hauler. Now here I've adopted a typical TD position on this map. You know, the alignment on this tank in terms of elevation and depression means that this is a fairly good position for you. The Reds remain unspotted. I now know that they're probably going to come around towards C, and I'm just looking for some targets. I know I'm quite a distance away from the Reds now, and I'm also hoping that I can put in some shots, but I am aware of the fact that they need to get now within 208 meters of me to spot me. They're not going to do that, but when I fire they need to get within 270 meters of me if there's a light tank. But now, and here's a lesson for those of you not familiar with concealment and spotting, there's no way those tanks over there are further than 270 meters away. But here's the thing, they're not light tanks. Their view range is considerably less than the RU-251, and this is another lesson that you need to bear in mind when you're fighting with this tank. You also need to be aware of the view range of the tanks that you are up against, because if there was a light tank on that ridge, I would have been spotted by now and I would have to move. But because they're TDs and heavies with a much shorter view range, I can stay here even though I'm blowing my camo numbers by firing continuously. And I actually only now in this game have I been spotted. But look, I still get caught in the ass. Freddie Mercury round right up the jackser as I'm trying to get away. But thankfully, I have the speed to get away without getting hit too badly. But one of my 3 tequila shots is gone. Now, the temptation always is to go towards the red, as Napoleon said, ride to the sound of the guns. But in actuality, I'm not going to do that, because I am continuously thinking, continuously aware of the limitations of this tank. You need to play to those limitations, as we said. So I'm moving as far away as I can from the Reds, trying to put as much distance between me and them as possible to try to remain unspotted. Again, we're going to see the excellent gun handling in play here. Gets me that kill. You can be confident that you can play from distance in this tank because of that excellent gun handling. Much better than you would expect from a Russian gun. It is German level gun handling on this tank. And as we said, it has better gun handling index than the Panther 2, even with the top gun at this tier. Again, we see utilizing the speed of the tank. Now that I know where all the reds are, I can actually move a bit and try to engage the enemy a bit better than I had been, and get a bit closer, because I know where they are now. I'm not going to get any sneaky shots. And I can also use the excellent gun handling here to clear off a red. I know where the other reds are, so I'm not going to get a nasty HE round surprise out of nowhere. If you know where the red guns are facing, then you know whether or not you're going to get hit, and you can afford to take a few more risks. And you can see there the difference in that game and the previous game, almost 3k of damage. And you saw there that at the end I was able to be a little bit more adventurous, but for 90% of this game, guys, you need to fight as far away from the reds as possible. Distance is going to keep you safe, because, you know, and I'll emphasize it again, this is a Tequila Tank. You know, there's 3 shots, 2 shots, or maybe even 1 shot and you're dead. Sniper tanker badge there delivered, and as we said, this is what you want to be looking for in a TD. If you can earn sniper tanker badges consistently, then it shows that you are you have a good TD in your hands. So let's have a recap of this tank. It's a good premium tank, good credit coefficient. As I said, regression shows it's around 170-175% credit coefficient, so it's a very good earner. It's a good TD too, if you like the fast zero armor tanks. So if you like the Scorpion, you like this. If you like the Rimborski, etc. 130mm gun is great, nice DPM, and what we mean by that is the actual DPM, because this tank normally pens. Concealment and movement are your key assets, and they are your armor. The power to weight ratio and traverse on soft terrain, take note of this, guys. The tank changes completely in its characteristic, can get you killed. Also, please note the firing drops your concealment. It blows those numbers. You lose almost 70 meters of concealment, which is huge on a small map that we play on in Blitz. And as soon as you're spotted, move. If you don't, you're going to die. It's as simple as that. This is a Tequila Tank, 3 shots and you're dead. But as we said, if you look at a Waffle Tractor, a Rimborski, it can be 1 or 2 shots and you're dead. Use Supercharge, use refined gun. You can, of course, use calibrated shells or gun armor, whichever your preference is. This tank is not forgiving at all. You know, and as we said, 3 shots, but sometimes you're really unlucky, it can be 1 shot and you're going to be spammed HE at you. You're just going to attract HE like nobody's business, so be aware of that. So cheers, Mush. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it enjoyable. And I guess all that remains for me now to say is pants off.